Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Barakatham, to you hopefully elect, and just back with the part two of War Talk. This is pretty much a continuation of the previous video, again, concerning this War Talk, because, again, man, being that we are in a time of war, the spirit of war is in the air. Exodus 15:3. The Lord he's a man of war, and he's stirring up that spirit of war amongst these other nations. All right. You see, like it tells you in the book of Job, let the weak say that I am strong, right? Here it is. The Lord is gathering up all these other nations, gearing them towards war, World War III. But here it is over here, these simple Babylonians, these dumb, docile Americans, thinking that shit is sweet out here, man. You see, and before I get on with this, I want to read this in Isaiah chapter 13, because, Russia just annexed 4 regions out there in the Ukraine, all right, and declared martial law, all right. You see, and what we're going to more and more start seeing is a conquering, all right, which will eventually spill over here to America, all right, because America will get invaded. These people, whether they want to believe it or not, America will get invaded. You see, and again, more and more, the Lord is stirring these nations up to war. And more, according to prophecy, you're going to have these other nations start linking up with Russia. As I brought out in the first part, how, with the tension between the Saudis and Biden's administration, where you have Biden is threatening the Saudis because of this whole OPEC deal. When not too long ago you had it to where Biden was basically begging for oil, and he pretty much got kicked to the curb. You see, and now he's threatening the Saudis, which is, again, because I believe part of the deal, what Biden is threatening with, because part of this, the deal between the Saudis and America, basically the Saudis would apply America with oil, and part of the deal being that America would supply the Saudis with weapons, and I believe that's a part of the threats that he's coming with, that he's gonna stop supplying the Saudis with these weapons, which, again, all this is gonna more so strengthen the ties with the Saudis and Russia. All right, as I brought it out in the first chapter, or excuse me, the first part, going into Ezekiel 38, how all these nations are going to start more and more linking with Russia. All right, and it's been coming out supposedly because pretty much Moscow has been raining hell with these kamikaze drones in the Ukraine, certain parts in the Ukraine, which is being said that these drones were being supplied by the Iranians, allegedly, which of course they're denying. But you see, you even have it to now where Israel is talking about getting involved and supporting the Ukrainians, and Russia, in not so many words, is basically telling the Israelis, don't do it. You see? So, as a matter of fact, speaking of the Iranians, I'm going to get this, the so-called Iranians, I'm going to get this in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 15. Because again, America is going to get invaded. Here it is. Wars in the air. But these simple Americans, they're still worried about the TikTok videos and they're worried about folly. Well, listen, when America gets invaded, man, these people, they're not going to be playing games. When these troops come onto American soil, they're not going to be playing games with you people. Because, as it is, a lot of these countries, they already have a disdain for Americans as it is already. You see, so it's just a matter of time. But I'm going to read this in 2nd Ezra 16, starting at verse 28. It says, behold, in horrible vision, I'm sorry, 2nd Ezra 15, not 16, 2nd Ezra 15 and 28. Behold, in horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east, talking about the Middle East, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, talking about Ishmael, if I'm not mistaken, the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians, talking about the so-called Iranians, raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians, talking about America. All right. As a matter of fact, when you read on, it says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. So you see, remembering their nature, man. Because, pretty much a lot of those Middle Eastern, some of those countries over there in the Middle East, they're known for blowing themselves up and, just doing crazy things. Well, Lord's gonna put a spirit on them to where they go back to that. They're gonna remember their nature, that wild nature. You see, because again, man, when these troops come over here, when America gets invaded, all right, these people, they're not going to be playing any games with you Americans. That's why I want to jump to this in Isaiah 13. Isaiah 13. I'll read verse 4. It says, the noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the hosts of the battle. So the Lord is stirring all this up, gearing these nations to war. They come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. Because you see, eventually, all these nations are going to shoot missiles at America, eventually. You see, but like I said, more and more we're going to see a conquering. All right. Mainly from Moscow, the Russians. They're going to move further and further until it gets to a point where, America will get invaded. All right. And other nations that are joined to them. I'm going to jump down to verse 16. It says, their children also, verse 16, their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled and their wives ravished. Because there's going to be a lot of rape, rob, murder. All right. A lot of killing for sport, just for fun, just for the hell of it. Women ravished, raped to death. It says, behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. So, the Medes, which represents the Russians, again, when they come over here, man, there's not going to be any bargaining. You're not going to be able to bargain with these people, because ultimately it's going to be the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai on them. All right, and through the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai, judgment. You see, there was another precept I had in mind, but nevertheless, I'm gonna play this video. Oh yeah, Ezekiel 38. Because again, more and more Russians, they're gonna conquer more and more, and eventually it's gonna spill over here to America. America will get invaded. Ezekiel 38, verse 11. It says, "And thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates." So you see, talking about America, these people, they're comfortable, they're at rest. Like I said, just thinking that shit is sweet out here, man. All hell is getting ready to break loose. America is getting ready to get invaded. With everything that's going on, and like I've mentioned, that's not to include all the ballistic missiles that North Korea's been firing, and they're talking about with China any day now they can invade Taiwan, and there's just so much going on concerning war talk. All right, but here it is. These people over here in America, they're at rest, they're at peace, they're at ease, they're comfortable. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this video.
This pretty alarming report that the Heritage Foundation released. They did an analysis of the U.S. military. They say that overall, our military is weak, and they go into greater detail on each of the specific branches. They say the Army is marginal. The Navy, they say, is weak. They say the Marine Corps is strong, Air Force very weak, Space Force weak. Our nuclear capacity is strong. All of this comes, though, Sean, as China has fully militarized 3 islands in the South China Sea, and a lot of people say it's not a matter of if, but when China invades Taiwan. So how seriously are you taking this report? How concerned should we be, and how do we reverse this?
Yeah, this is scary. So when you have a military and a group of leaders who care more about diversity, equality, and inclusion, talking about race.
So you got the so-called Chinese. They got a 1 million man army. If I'm not mistaken, I believe China's army is one of the biggest armies in the world. It's either a 1 million man army or a 1 billion man army. I think it's a 1 million man army. I could be wrong. Again, just the fact that, because again, I could further prolong this video, just going into these different nations and how they're preparing for war, man. They're gearing up. And like you mentioned, and as he's going to go on to say, meantime over here, like I said, or as I read, these people, they dwell safely. They're comfortable, thinking shit is sweet, right? And what they're fighting for, and America's military fights for these pronouns, equal, LGBT, ABC rights. Whole time, these other countries, man, they are preparing for war. And America's military is a joke, is weak. That's why it's going to be a slaughterhouse over here. America's going to be one big slaughterhouse, man. America's military is a joke.
In the military, they want to spend money on social programs, massive $1 trillion giveaways to their friends and allies. This is what you get, Carly. And again, we need serious people back in the room to spend real money to rebuild the military.
Yeah, because here it is. They're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine, but America's own government is not taking care of their own military. They're taking care of their own people. Telling them to sign up for the food stamps program and stuff like that, which this is all, the same thing happened to ancient Rome, But meanwhile, they're sending billions of dollars to the Ukrainians. Hey, that's why, I'm going to get this real quick, man. That's why a lot of America's military are gonna say the hell with this shit, man. They're gonna say F this. Jeremiah 51, verse 30. The mighty men of Babylon have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Their might hath failed. They became as women. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. So, you see, America's military is weak. They're a joke. And they're not being properly taken care of, looked after. Like I said, man, eventually it's going to get to a point where it's not going to be worth it. It's not going to be worth the stress. And they're just going to say the hell with it. And we got a small glimpse of that when this whole, that VA, that VAX, a lot of people left the military. They said the hell with it. All right, the numbers are already low as far as people joining the military, the recruitment. All right, which is why they're going to institute a draft pretty soon.
All our forces to make sure we can address the rising threats of the day, and that's not happening. And when you don't make those investments in people and in military assets, listen, this is the kind of report that you'll get, and hopefully we'll have folks inside the military that'll go, hey, listen, hey, Congress, we need more money. We need to build more ships. We need more planes. We need more smart people who are willing to risk their lives for democracy and freedom. But if you don't get that, I think we're on a short course here to be in a second world global power.
Yeah, it's good news, bad news situation the way I look at it. Those stats were horrible, bad news, but we're winning the woke pronoun war. So if that's important to you,
we are.
Congrats, China.
And that's what these people are worried about, pronouns, and like I said, LGBT, ABC rights, and folly. Read this in Jeremiah 50. Verse 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about, all ye that bend the bow. Shoot at her, spare no arrows, for she hath sinned against the Lord. Talking about those missiles. All right. World War III, when it pops off, again, America will get invaded, and eventually all these nations are going to shoot the missiles at America. Verse 15, it says, shout against her round about. She hath given her hand, her foundations are fallen, her walls are thrown down, for it is the vengeance of the Lord. Take vengeance upon her, as she had done, do unto her. So America's about to get it. All right. This place is already vulnerable. You have Biden is basically taking out of the oil reserves, because again, with this whole OPEC plus deal and the Saudis, basically opting out, while Biden is again, he's taking from the oil reserves, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's supposed to be in case of like an economy depression of some sort, or wartime. You see, some World War III event, which a lot of people saying that it could be a political move, but nevertheless, that's making America vulnerable, even more vulnerable than it already is. As a matter of fact, let me get this in the book of Nahum chapter 2, because Nineveh represents America today. All right, and the same thing happened to Nineveh is the same thing that's happening today, with America's allies leaving. All right, same thing happening to ancient Nineveh. That's why I'm going to read Nahum 2:8. It says, but Nineveh is of like a pool of water. Well, like they like to say, the melting pot, right? America's the big melting pot, right? That's what you can pretty much compare that to. But Nineveh is of old like a pool of water, yet they shall flee away. All right, because again, before Nineveh fell, you had Nineveh. You had basically its allies turning away. Right, same thing we see going on today. Like a prime example with the Saudis. Right, it says, "Stand, stand, shall they cry, but none shall look back." So you see, because again, going back to how a couple of months ago Biden went over there, basically begging for oil, man, and hey, he basically got the boot, asking for help, and he basically slapped his hand away. It's the same, hey, no new thing under the sun, man. America's through. America is finished. I'm gonna get this, and I'm gonna end it off in Jeremiah 51, verse 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed. And that balm is a healing agent, all right? And basically, there is no healing agent for America, all right? What they've been doing the past few years, man, is just putting a small band-aid on a incurable wound, on a massive wound, man. It's just gonna bleed out. America's bleeding out, man. Verse 9, it says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the sky." So you see, man, hey, all these nations, they're America's allies more and more. They're gonna turn their back on America and forsake her, man. You see, these nations, they're saying the hell with America. Even her own allies, they're saying the hell with America. And again, according to prophecy, more and more, these nations are going to link up with Russia, and ultimately, all these nations are going to shoot their missiles, man. That's just, this is how the Lord wrote the story. But America's through. All right, the military is a joke. This place is through, and there's no, build back better. There's none of that. This place is done. Babylon the Great is fallen. She's through. Hopefully this was edifying. All praise to Yahweh Bashim Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Yahweh Bashim Shai. Brakathum to you, hopefully elect. Lord willing, until next time. Shalom.